When it's clear that your partner is moving on without you and there's no chance of reuniting, you can suddenly feel like you've been severed from a lifeline. This can cause a great deal of anxiety, fear, and deep sadness down to the core of your being. It's one thing to be rejected by the person we loved, and dealing with that grief can feel overwhelming. But when we have the realization that there is no hope of getting back together, that brings a whole new depth to the level of pain, compounding the fracture. One of the disorienting feelings when someone who loved us leaves us is that we sense they are leaving with a part of us. They are walking away with the secrets we shared over pillow talk, the vulnerability that may have taken years to open, the collective history and memories we created together, and the simple daily moments that were part of our routine. It feels like we are being robbed in addition to being abandoned. Hi, I'm Patty Blue Hayes, author, coach, and your guide to blossoming beyond heartbreak and cultivating hope as you sow the seeds of healing. So how do we let go of that emotional attachment to the other person? How do we let go in order to heal and renew ourselves? One practice that helped me let go of emotional burdens at different times in my life has been to use something physically a bit uncomfortable to bring my awareness to the body. Then it's up to me to decide how much pain I'm willing to endure before releasing it. For example, I placed a small stone in my shoe before going for a walk on a trail. I was dealing with some emotional flare-ups from a trauma years ago at the same time of year. I recognized it and knew I needed to do something to release the pressure. I walked for quite a ways with that stone in my shoe and was quite aware of the discomfort. And I was also aware that I was not yet ready to remove the stone, even though it was causing pain. So I kept walking. Eventually, that pain softened the feelings of anger I had, and my emotional body softened. Finally, it felt like the right time to remove that stone from my shoe. I held it in my hand, observing it as a means of witnessing any emotional residue that I was still holding on to. When I felt comfortable, I released the stone, tossing it into the woods. My spirit and my body felt lighter on the rest of the walk. Having released the painful stone, I absorbed the calming energy of the plants and the earth. On a different occasion, working with a guide, she instructed me to fasten a heavy earring to my earlobe to represent the emotional burden I was carrying. It hurt. It was an old-fashioned clip-on earring, and at one point it slipped off due to the weight of the earring. Guess what I did out of instinct? I picked it up to reattach it. That moment was so profound because it clearly showed me what we can do when we are conditioned to be in a painful state. Instead of being relieved at how easily it fell away, I was going to reattach it. Letting go can be simple, yet we complicate things by holding on. Whether you put a rock in your shoe, put on a small pair of Spanx, or carry a brick in your purse, see if this exercise can help relieve some of the pain you've been carrying. Another effective practice to release ourselves from an emotional attachment is cord cutting. Cord cutting is a metaphorical practice that involves severing energetic ties or attachments between people. Its origins are rooted in ancient spiritual and energetic traditions, particularly in Eastern philosophies and shamanic practices. In Eastern philosophy, which emphasizes the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of releasing attachments, practices like meditation, mindfulness, and yoga are often used to heighten our awareness of attachments and to facilitate their release. In many indigenous cultures, shamans or spiritual healers perform rituals to remove energetic attachments or cords that may be draining a person's energy or causing emotional distress. These practices often involve ceremonial tools such as feathers, crystals, or ceremonial knives to symbolically sever energetic cords. In contemporary energy healing modalities like Reiki and pranic healing, practitioners work with the body's subtle energy system to clear blockages and balance energy flow. Cord cutting may be incorporated into these practices to release energetic ties that are obstructing our emotional well-being. I found guidance on YouTube on different cord cutting visualizations and felt relief after doing them repeatedly. If you find this type of content valuable, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. One popular technique that is very therapeutic is the emotional freedom technique, EFT, also known as tapping. This technique combines elements of traditional Chinese medicine, such as acupuncture, with modern psychology. It involves tapping on specific meridian points on the body while focusing on particular thoughts or emotions. EFT has been shown to be effective in reducing emotional distress, including attachment to people or situations. Tapping on specific meridian points while focusing on the emotional bond with the person can disrupt the body's stress response and help reduce the intensity of emotions associated with that bond. By tapping, you can interrupt the automatic emotional reaction, which creates space for you to gain more control over your responses. Tapping on meridian points has been shown to calm the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing emotions and triggering the fight or flight response. This can help regulate those intense emotions associated with the broken emotional bond. Through the repetitive tapping process, we can create a sense of distance from the intense emotions. This can create space for acceptance and allow us to acknowledge our feelings without becoming overwhelmed by them. EFT often involves incorporating self-compassionate statements while tapping. By offering ourselves kindness and understanding, we can counteract feelings of shame or unworthiness that come with a breakup. Self-compassion is a vital resource during this time. From a psychological perspective, do some research on attachment styles to understand what yours is and how that could be affecting your difficulty in letting go. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby and expanded upon by Mary Ainsworth, suggests that we develop different attachment styles based on our early caregiving experiences. Understanding your own attachment style and recognizing patterns can be a crucial step in detaching emotionally from someone. It's also helpful to set boundaries for yourself when you're trying to detach emotionally from a former partner. If they haven't cut you out completely and are still texting or calling you, create your boundaries on if and when you answer those texts or calls. By not automatically responding to them, you are establishing your own parameters. Assess what your mental and emotional state is, and if you are clear-headed enough to have contact with them. You want to be in a place of strength, not weakness, when engaging with them. While you are processing complex and uncomfortable emotions, you need to be as compassionate and loving toward yourself as you can be. This might involve accessing the healed and whole future version of yourself who tends to the wounded soul, who is punishing herself and taking on all the blame for the end to the relationship. And if the ex behaved in a way that shocked you with how cold and dismissive they were, find compassion for them too. The reason they behaved badly was due to discomfort within themselves. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but when you consider that hurt people hurt others, it can bring us toward compassion. Self-care during this time is your first priority. The wounded soul is energetically depleting and exhausting. So instead of mind-numbing activities like relying on substances and scrolling, create a back-to-basics plan of non-negotiable activities that you do daily. It could be starting your day with breakfast, taking a short walk, or getting to a class or the gym. It might include reaching out to family and friends, time for meditation or therapy, and even creating a bedtime routine that includes aromatherapy and a no-phone zone. By allowing yourself to fully experience and process your emotions, whether through journaling, therapy, or support groups, you are creating the path forward to detach emotionally and turn your focus on healing your heart and learn valuable lessons as you grow into the next version of yourself. Remember, you're on a journey of healing and transformation. The seed does not become a blossom overnight.